Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this horror franchise movie review video. As part of my January 2023 series, where I'm taking a look at all the Final Destination movies in the franchise, all five of them. Um, got the first four reviewed. They're up on my channel if you want to check those out, including part four, which has two videos to it. It's a long story. If you watch the video, you know why. Um, but yeah, today we're going to take a look at the fifth and final movie, at least for right now, in the franchise, which is Final Destination 5. So, like the Final Destination or Final Destination 4, this was the first time I'd watched this movie ever for this review. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. Once again, like all the movies I have on this five-pack Final Destination collection here, although Final Destination 5 did get its own disc. So that should be noted, where the first four movies all had to share a disc, with like one and two were together, three and four were together, and five was the oddball out, I guess. So it got its own disc. So it actually has a few more menu features. Like there's a special features on there. I noticed. I didn't watch it, but anyway, let's get into the movie. So, Final Destination 5 is a 2011 American 3D supernatural horror film directed by Stephen Quayle and written by Eric Heiser. Heiser. It's the fifth installment of the Final Destination film series. Final Destination 5 follows a young man who has a premonition and saves a group of people from death when a suspension bridge begins to collapse. However, they soon learn that they cannot escape death. So, sounds very familiar to the previous four movies in terms of the idea of the movie. Um, so, yeah, the movie opens with cook enthusiast Sam Lawton meeting with his colleagues before boarding a bus to a company retreat for the paper company he works for. Before getting aboard, he hears bad news from his girlfriend Molly Harper that the relationship is ending because she feels she's holding him back from pursuing his dream career as a at his part-time restaurant job. While en route, Sam becomes unnerved about the bridge that they are crossing as it is under construction and proven right as it begins to collapse. He and Molly escape the bus along with his best friend Peter Fritkin, his girlfriend, intern and gymnast Candace Hooper, vain coworker Olivia Castle, coworker Nathan Sears, and their boss Dennis Latman flee the bus. Sexist Isaac Palmer is left behind and dies when the bus plummets into the water. After everyone else dies one by one, Molly is as the only one safe as the only ones remaining. Peter and then Sam are both killed. Sam wakes up on the bus before the collapse starts and manages to get everyone out of danger before they are all killed. During a memorial service for their lost colleagues, is incensed that Dennis counts him among the dead. They meet William Bloodworth, the mortician from the first two films, who is now a coroner, who warns them that death isn't done with them. Later, while at practice for her gymnastics, Candace is blinded when another gymnast knocks dust into her face while on the bars, and the resulting fall snaps her spine backwards. They meet with Bloodworth again, who suggests that they kill someone who is not meant to die on the bridge. That if they kill someone who is not meant to die on the bridge, that they could reclaim their unlived years. So that's sort of the different thing in this movie, or the added rule, I guess, if you want to say. So that's the setup and the premise. As far as the cast goes, we have Nicholas D'Agosto as Sam Lawton, Emma Bell as Molly Harper, Miles Fisher as Peter Fritkin, Ellen Rohr as Candace Hooper, Jacqueline McGinnis Wood as Olivia Castle, P.J. Byrne as Isaac Palmer, Arlen Escapeta as Nathan Sears, David Kuckner as Dennis Latman, Courtney B. Vance as Agent Jim Block, and Tony Todd as William Bloodworth. So yeah, that's to set up the premise and the cast for Final Destination 5 from 2011. So if you watch my reviews, you know that the Final Destination was a bit of a disappointment to say the least. So I went into this movie with pretty low expectations, not really expecting much, and I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. This was a solid return to form, in my opinion, for the earlier movies in the franchise. So yeah, let's just get into the things that I liked about the movie. my pros, if you will. So I really like the opening credits once again with the breaking glass and the various objects used that are used in deaths throughout the movies. Yeah, really solid set of opening credits that really got me into the movie right away. And then also piggybacking on that, the ending credits that show so many of the deaths. You get kind of like a summary of all the deaths throughout the series, kind of like you got at the end of Freddy's Dead from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which is about the only that's the only good thing about Freddy's Dead is that montage. That's the word I was looking for. You get a montage of all the kills at the ending credits. I forget the song that's playing. But yeah, both the beginning and ending credits of this movie are really solid, and I really like the ending credits having all the deaths throughout all five movies of the franchise. This movie gets back to basics and having a good buildup of tension, both in the premonition and the subsequent deaths throughout the movie, where the fourth film kind of went off and did its own thing from the rest of the franchise, in my opinion. This movie kind of returns to form in that regard, where it kind of goes back to death being this darkness that this breeze and this darkness, that the shadow that falls upon where certain people are that survive death. Kind of a return to form of what a Final Destination movie should be, in my opinion, with Death's shadow appearing before we know what's going to happen, before there's a death to one of these characters. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part of this movie. That was, like I said, definitely a return to form. The score and the music used was more of a return to form, although not as good as the first three movies. It was definitely an improvement over the fourth movie, and it was actually the same guy that did the score for this movie that did the fourth movie. And the score in the fourth movie, of course, is very kind of silly and actiony. This is back to more of a foreboding, eerie sort of Final Destination kind of score. Like I said, not as good as the first three, but definitely an improvement from the last movie. Getting back to that eerie tone at times. It was cool to see Tony Todd back in the movie, especially for more than just one scene. I think he's like in three or four different scenes. Um, Kind of as a stalker in this movie, if you will. Maybe Death Stalker, who knows? But yeah, he was good as always in this movie after not being in the last two movies. Well, his voice was in the third movie, but it was good to see him on screen again. Um, Although again, they do play it a little bit too much. He's sort of the exposition dump kind of guy. Because in this movie, he explains what the new twist is, if you will, which is the eye for an eye mentality, which we'll get to. The best part about this movie, in my opinion, is the ending of the movie. And I'm not talking about the third act entirely. I'm talking about like the last 10 minutes of this movie and how brilliant it is in terms of, well, it's brilliant to me because I didn't have the big twist in the final 10 minutes ruined for me like some other people did. I didn't see it coming. Thinking back at the movie, it makes sense because I'm not going to give away what it is, although I guess I could. This movie's been out for over a decade. But basically, what happens at the end of this movie ties into the first movie brilliantly. There are some timing issues there with what happens and when it happens, and tying back to the first movie at the same time that it happened doesn't quite add up there. But yeah, it's just they really got me. And like I said, I'm glad I went into this movie blind. That's the way I would recommend anybody go into this movie. Go in blind. Don't do research or anything. Don't have the ending twist spoiled for you, and you'll really enjoy this movie a lot more. That's definitely to me the best part of this movie. And like I said, they did it so well, and I didn't even think about it while I was watching the movie. Like not having, how come, not thinking about the fact that nobody's using an iPhone or anything. And that's as much as I'm going to say. But yeah, it was just really, really brilliant. And right up to the very last shot with another character from this movie that thinks he might be the last survivor. Not so much. So yeah, I really enjoyed the end of this movie. The whole movie does a really good job of not dating itself throughout the movie. As far as giving you away what year this movie takes place. Like the other movies, they kind of mention the year that they're in or the timetable. This one doesn't do it, and you're not really thinking about it while you're watching it. So that's a credit to the filmmakers. And then my final pros. This movie has some really unique and creative set piece kills, like the acupuncture office, the laser eye kill office, laser eye surgery, and then the gymnastics arena or whatever they're in. Those three set pieces are really unique to the franchise and really, really interesting in the kills that come out of them. So, yeah, a lot of good things about Final Destination 5. Definitely a return to form with a great, great twist ending that I really didn't see coming and really enjoyed. So, but it's not a perfect movie, of course. It does have some cons, as you would assume, being the fifth movie in a franchise. For me, there's still a little too much CGI in some of the kills throughout the movie, especially the opening premonition kills with the bridge collapse. Some of the kills are decent, but there's definitely like where one of the main characters gets sliced in half by part of the bridge. It's so CGI'd. It looks so fake, and again, it takes away from a pretty good build up. That's the biggest problem in this movie is they actually get back to building up the kills in a sort of intensive way, a tension filled way. But then some of the kills that are delivered are kind of like, ugh, that looked really bad with CGI. Again, this movie uses the 3D gimmick as the fourth movie did. Now, I will say it's a lot better in this movie. Like they don't, it's not overtly slapped across your face that they're trying to make this movie in 3D, and therefore the CGI isn't as cartoonish throughout the movie as it was in the fourth movie. But it's definitely still here in a way that did take me out of some of the kills and some of the scenes in the movie. Another con that I had, and this is probably more of a personal thing, but I thought they kind of have weird attempts at humor throughout the movie at certain times that don't really work for me as a Final Destination movie. The humor really doesn't land for me, and it kind of throws off the pacing a little bit, and it kind of makes it whatever kind of tone they were trying to go for in this movie feel mumbled and sort of inadequate. At least to me, I remember watching the movie and thinking they're they're kind of forcing the humor a little bit after a scene at a memorial scene, and I don't know. It just didn't really have good flow between humor and horror, not horror, but like more serious scenes of the movie. And all the movies in this franchise has had humor in them, but some of them are a lot more seamless than others, and I didn't think this movie was particularly good with the humor they were trying to go for. Again, mostly through a couple of characters, mainly David Koechner as Dennis Lapman, who, of course, he's in a lot of comedies. He was in oh shit, why can't I think of the name of the Christmas movie? Krampus, that's it. And I liked him better in that movie than this one. I'll say that. Um, and then the other one, of course, is P.J. Byrne as Isaac Palmer, who's supposed to be like the anti-cliche character, and the fact that he's like the sexist womanizer, but not with necessarily the good looks and the hard body, which was kind of interesting. But still, that character and like I said, David Koechner's character as the boss are the two sort of in this movie kind of the humor characters, if you will, and it didn't work for me really well at all. I could have done without the cheesy soap opera drama between Sam and Molly, the first half of the movie with the whole breakup, not breakup thing. And I understand you got to have some character development, but I just wasn't buying it. It was a little too much like a soap opera for a Final Destination movie. So that's one thing that didn't work for me. I wasn't really crazy about the new rule or the new thing that they brought to this movie with taking a life to save your own life. Sort of that eye for an eye mentality can save your skin. Everyone just kind of accepts it and goes along with it a little too easy without many reservations. And I don't know, I just wasn't buying it. Plus, then it kind of makes the other movies when you watch them like, well, how come you didn't just try to take somebody else's life? And I don't know, man. I wasn't crazy about it. It's not the worst thing that they've done in a Final Destination movie, but it's not my favorite thing that was added either for a new rule. Um, I also didn't think the third act, as a result of that, was quite as effective because it's less about the supernatural climax where our main characters are they going to live or are they going to die. It's less of a supernatural and more of a fellow character, sinister sort of death that they face. And I don't know. It just it just didn't work. It didn't land for me as well as I'm sure it probably did for some other people. But as far as the opening sequence, I want to mention the whole bridge collapse. I thought it was kind of in the middle of this franchise. I didn't think it was certainly not the worst opening premonition, but not the best either. I'd probably throw it right in the middle. Again, the bridge collapse has a little too much CGI, a little bit too much green screen going on there. It's a little too noticeable for me. What can I say? I'm an old school guy that loves practical effects, and I'm only okay with CGI as long as it's not obvious and overdone. And this movie, well, not as bad as the fourth movie. I feel like it's still a little too much. I can see it too much is the best way to say it. So yeah, those are my pros and cons for for Final Destination 5 from 2011. The final movie of the franchise so far. I will say, after watching the fifth movie, I kind of wish they weren't making a sixth one now, which I believe they are. I don't know when it's supposed to come out, maybe 2024, but I will say this movie does a great job of wrapping up the whole franchise with a bow, like a full circle bow. It's hard to imagine having just like a better full circle wrap up to the entire franchise and what they have in this movie. As I said earlier, that's the best part of this fifth movie is those last 10 or 15 minutes of the movie, whatever it is. And like I said, I probably feel that way because it wasn't spoiled for me. I had no idea. I went into part five completely blind, and coming off of part four that I didn't like, it worked even better for me. So overall, this is not a perfect movie. There's probably people out there that like it more than I do, and some that like it less than I do. I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I did think it was a return to form for a Final Destination movie. It had a lot of what I wanted. The kills were interesting and creative, while some of them still being a little too CGI'd and over the top. My favorite kill was I think my favorite build up to a kill was the gymnastics or the gymnast in the arena. But you can't not talk about this movie and not and or talk about this movie and not talk about the laser eye surgery office kill. That's probably the most cringe in a good way, the most cringe scene of the movie. Also the why do I want to say apothecary? What do you oh my god, it's escaping me right now. Acupuncture. Good Jesus. The acupuncture kill and that whole scene was good too. So yeah, good kills, a return to form in terms of buildup of tension. The characters and the acting are certainly better than the fourth movie. Still, they're kind of what you would expect from a Final Destination movie, like a B horror movie. They're okay. I wasn't completely sold on the main character played by Nicholas D'Agosto. Um, his chemistry along with Emma Bell, like I said, was a little too soap opera for me. But overall, this is a good Final Destination movie, and like I said, a return to form after Part Four. 7.5 out of 10 for Final Destination 5. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys like this movie more than I do, less than I do. Why not? What did you think of it? Please like this video and hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss my final video for this particular series. Which of course is going to be my final wrap up of the series, including my ranking, both the ranking of all five movies, and I'm also going to rank all five premonition set pieces or premonition deaths at the beginning of each of these movies, if you will. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my great upcoming horror content, including everything revolving the horror convention I'm going to next month. So, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you're enjoying this series. Hope everybody's doing well, but stay scared. Bye.